Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to be taking a look on how to create tags and branches, and we're also going to take a look at how we can take a branch and merge it back in with your main line of development. Now first we're going to take a look at how to do this all through the command line. So let's go ahead, open up our command prompt and navigate into our command line 1 folder, which is in users/ryanzek/desktop/command line 1. Now, as far as SVN is concerned, when you create a branch, you create a tag, you're doing the exact same thing, which is creating a copy of a directory or directories that are being managed through version control or being managed through Subversion. The only reason that a tag is a tag and a branch is because the user, you, give it special meaning. So when I create a copy inside of the tags folder, I know that this is a tag and not a branch. And then when I create a copy and put it inside the branches folder, I know it's a branch and not a tag. But again, SVN sees no difference between the two, and for that reason there's only one command to create both a tag or a branch, and that's the copy command. So if we do SVN copy, now there are two ways to use the copy command. The first way is actually using paths based off of your working copy on your computer. So if I wanted to create a tag for my trunk, I would go ahead, do SVN copy. I'd say I want to create for my trunk, and I want to put it in tags/tag1. Hit enter. You notice how it gives me this item tags/tag1 with an A. If we go ahead and navigate into our tags/tag1 folder, and we take a look at what's inside here, we have the directory 1, and then we have the file 1.txt. But this has yet been committed to the repository, so there still isn't, this copy or this tag is not on the repository for other people to check out. And what we would need to do is we'd go ahead and let's just cd up into my command line 1 folder. We could do an SVN update, and then we can do an SVN commit. And we're going to pass it username of user1, and we're going to pass it password of password1. Hit enter. I'm going to just say adding tag. As you can see, we're adding this tag. And close and save. And it's committed that change. So now this is that tag is now in the repository. Now a second way of creating a copy or using the copy command is actually giving it paths relating to the actual server. So I could go ahead and do SVN localhost/command line /trunk, and we want to copy that to SVN localhost/command line /tags/tag2. And again, because we're connecting to the server and we're making changes to the server, we're going to need to pass our authentication here, otherwise it's just going to use what was previously stored when it stored the authentication last. So we're going to pass username of user1, and then we're going to pass password of password1. And everything looks good, so let's hit enter. Brings up our notepad, adding tag directly to the server. And you notice we have the A and we have the location of what we're adding. Click close and hit save. And now it's actually committed that to revision 11. So now at this point, this tag is now on the repository, but it's not on our working copy. All we need to do is do an SVN update, and you notice how it's added that tag2 directory to our working copy. Now let's go ahead and create a branch. And like I said, SVN sees no difference, so we're just going to do SVN copy, and we're going to use the latter method of actually creating it directly on the server. And the reason we're using that method is that it gives you the benefit that when you use the copy command directly on the server, you're going to be copying the latest revision. Where if you use your working copy, if you haven't updated to the latest revision, you could be copying an older revision to your branch. Now the only time that you would actually want to, or actually need to use the SVN copy on the working copy instead of on the server is if you're not connected to a network that allows you to connect to the actual server. But since we can connect to our server, we're just going to use the server method. And this is localhost/command line /trunk, and we want to copy that to SVN localhost / command line / branches, and we're just going to call this branch 1. Again, we need to pass our authentication, and this is user1, and password is password1. Let's fix that up a little. Okay, everything looks good. Hit enter. We're adding branch. We're adding a branch. And let's close this and save. Oh, it looks like we did not pass. Okay, username should be user1. And password for is password1. Okay, there we go. Just had a small hiccup there. And then what we want to do is go ahead and do an SVN update. And our branches has been updated. And the reason it asked me for my authentication is because I don't have anything cached, and when I typed in the username, I typed -user1 instead of just user1. Now we have our branch on our working copy. Let's go ahead into this branch. Let's just make a change to both of those files. So let's go into branches / branch1. And let's open up file 1 in Notepad, and we're just going to add, this is changes from branch. Save that and close out the file. And let's go into our directory 1 and modify the file inside this folder. And again, we're just going to add in a new line, changes from branch. Click save. So if we cd up one directory, and we do an SVN update, and then SVN commit, we're going to commit our changes to branch. So here we go, just say changing branch code. Close that out and hit save. Okay, and let's go up into our main directory. So now we have changes we've made to our branch, and we want to go ahead and merge them back into our main line of development, which is trunk. Now it's best practice when merging changes from a branch to your main line of development is that you only want to merge the changes you've made since you've copied the actual branch, instead of just merging everything in the branch to the main line, because that could potentially cause a lot of issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our branches folder. So let's cd into branches. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out at what revision did we actually create this branch. And the way you can find that out is if you go into the particular folder that you want to find out when you created, when the copy was created. So it's actually branch 1. We can do SVN log, and we can pass it -- stop on copy. And if we hit enter, it's going to say, okay, revision 12 was when we adding a branch happened at revision 12. So we basically want to copy all changes from revision 12 to the latest revision and move those onto the trunk. So let's go ahead, cd up a few directories, and let's cd into trunk. And now in order to merge a branch with your working copy, you want to be in the working copy, or where you want to merge your changes to, which is our trunk folder, and we want to use the SVN merge command. We're going to pass it, well, first we actually want to do an SVN update. Okay, so we're at revision 13. So we know we want to merge all changes from revision 12 to revision 13 from our branches folder onto our trunk folder. So we're in our trunk folder. We can go ahead and use the SVN merge command. We're going to pass it an option of -r, and then basically this is going to let us tell SVN which revisions do we want to take changes from and merge them to this folder. We want to take any changes from revision 12 to revision 13. And now where do we want to take these changes from? Again, you can pass it the relative path of the working copy, but since we have access to the server, we're going to go ahead and just take the changes from the server itself. making sure everything's up to date. And that's command line /branches/branch1. And again, since we're connecting to the repository, we need, well, actually, since we are connecting to the repository, we actually don't need to pass our credentials because we're only reading and not updating to the repository. So we can just hit enter. And as you can see, it's merging. It merged revision 13 into the current directory. And as you can see, directory 1, both files were updated. So now we can do an SVN update again, just to make sure there weren't any changes between us merging our changes and us actually wanting to commit. And now we can do an SVN commit of this folder and just pass it our credentials, which is username user1 and password of password1. Hit enter, and we can just say merging branch 1 into trunk. And we also want to pass here that it was from revision 12 to revision 13. And the reason we want to pass this information along is that you may merge your branch into the trunk, but then you may go ahead and continue working on your branch without committing your changes to trunk. So maybe you just want to kind of merge in your changes slowly into trunk so it kind of avoids any potential conflicts that might happen during the merge instead of having one huge merge at one point. If we want to follow that best practices of only being able to commit the changes that we've merged onto the trunk, we want to know what that latest revision is. So if we went ahead and made another change to our branch, we would then use revision 13 and whatever the latest revision of the repository is. So that's why you want to make sure that we keep that, what revisions we actually merged onto the trunk with. And we can go ahead and just close and save. And those have been committed. So now we've successfully merged our changes in branch into the main line of development. Now, one more thing about when working with branches is that you notice when we created the copy, we put it into the branches folder, and we work directly inside the branches folder. Some people don't exactly like doing that, and this is more of a personal preference. Some people actually like working on a folder that's specifically that one branch. So if we go ahead and go up to Directories, to our desktop, let's go ahead and make directory, we'll just call this command line branch. Okay, it made our directory for us, and here it is. There are two different ways we can actually work on our branch. Now the first way is to create a separate directory, as we just did, and we can go into this command line branch directory. No, I called it command line branches. Let's just go into, wait a second. And I've got the N. So let's just go back to our directory. Let's rename this to what it should be. It should be command line branch. Okay, and cd into that. Now what we can do here is we can do an SVN checkout. And it's localhost. But now instead of passing it the command line, which is the root of our project, for the command line project at least, we can just go ahead and pass it branches, and then pass it branch 1. Hit enter. Whoops, spelled branches wrong. Hit enter, and as you can see, it's added those files. And if we go directly into this, well, actually, let's just close that. If we take a look through command line, you notice we have our branch 1. Okay, hold on one second. Yep, okay, so we have our branch 1, and then we can go ahead and cd into branch 1. And here's all of our work. So we have a separate folder specified for this particular branch on our computer. This is one of the cases where you may have multiple checkouts from the same repository on the same computer. Let's go ahead and move back into our desktop, Oh, one too far. Go back into desktop, and let's go into our command line 1 folder. We can actually go ahead and just delete that folder as we're done with it. And we can just continue. And that's deleted. Now the second way is that we can actually switch where directories on a working copy are pointing to. So if we go ahead and go into our trunk and we do SVN info, this is basically just going to spit out some information about the SVN directory we're currently in. And if we take a look at the URL, it says that the URL is pointing to SVN localhost command line trunk. With the SVN switch command, we can actually tell it to switch where that URL is pointing to. So that if we create a branch and we're not worried about the trunk anymore, at least until we finish our branch, our changes on our branch, so basically our branch is going to act like our trunk, we can go ahead and just do SVN switch and point it to SVN localhost / command line / branches / branch 1. Hit enter. Notice how it's updated it, so it's going to modify any files so that it matches what's on branch 1. And if we go ahead and do SVN info again, notice now the URL is pointing to command line branches branch 1. So if I were to go into, let's do SVN into, or let's actually open up file 1 in Notepad, and let's just do some more changes where we have more changes. Save that and close. And if I do SVN update, and then I can do an SVN commit, notice we're changing this particular file. We can just say updating files, close and save. So now if we can see the up, and if we do an SVN update, what it's going to do is it's also going to update our branches folder, because this commit wasn't committed to the trunk folder, it was actually committed to the branches folder because we switched that location of where it was pointing to. So then once we're done with all our modifications to our branch, we go back into our trunk folder and we just switch back so that it's pointing to the branches folder. So SVN switch and just point it to the correct location. It's going to be localhost command line, and then it's going to be trunk. Hit enter. You notice how it's now updated our file, so if we were to open our file again, it's now that the version of the file that is currently on the trunk. And then again, if we want to go ahead and merge our changes from our branch to our main line of development, we can do the SVN merge command again, -R, and since we know 13 was the last revision and the current revision is 15, as you can see right here, we want to merge any changes from 13 to 15 and just pass it the URL of the repository, since we can connect to the server right now. Branches branch 1. Hit enter. It's updated the file, and then we can do an SVN update again, and then an SVN commit, passing it our credentials, which is user name user1, and then it's password 1. And password is actually spelled wrong, so let's just fix that. Hit enter. Okay. Just saying merging branch 1 with trunk, and again we want to pass it what revisions we were merging, which was 13 to revision 15. Close this and save, and it's committed those changes, and we're now at revision 16. So this goes over how we can kind of work around with copies of repositories or directories and repositories through the command line. Let's go ahead and close our command line. And now we're going to take a look at how we can do the same exact thing but through Tortoise SVN. So let's open up Tortoise 1. And now we want to create a a copy of the trunk directory. So what we can do is we can right click on the trunk, do SVN Tortoise, and you'll notice we have a branch/tag option. We click on this, notice it's going to use the actual URL, so what we're copying from, which is the trunk, and then where do we want to copy it to? Well, we want to copy this to tags/tag1, and we can specify a specific revision we want to copy it from. So if we only wanted to copy it from revision like 2, we could do that, but let's just, for our case, use head, and then we can just say creating tag1, and then this checkbox right here, which says switch working copy to new branch/tag, this allows you to actually automatically run that switch command after it creates the copy for you, or creates the branch or tag. Since we're creating a tag here, we actually don't want to switch our working copy. So let's just click OK. It's going to ask me for authentication. So let's authenticate as user1, password1, click OK. And as you can see, it's created that, and it's also just letting you know that your working copy remains on the previous path. So it's still pointing to the trunk folder in our repository instead of now pointing to this new copy. And it's letting you know that you can use the switch command if you wish to point it to the newly created copy. So let's just click OK. And if we right click on tags and we hit update, notice how tag 1 was created and it updated all of the files. Now next we're going to create a branch. So again, let's go ahead and right click on our trunk, go to Tortoise SVN, and go to branch/tag. This time we're going to put it inside our branches folder, and we're just going to call this branch 1. Oh, branch 1. We're going to copy the head, and we're going to say creating branch 1. And get that C in there. No. Branch 1. Oh, that's spelled fine. It's just misspelled because it has the number in there. And now this time we are going to click on this switch because we want to automatically have it switch our working copy to this new branch, as until our branch is complete, this is going to be our working copy. So we're going to click OK. It's going to ask me for authentication again. It's user1, password1. Click OK. Notice how it performs our copy, and then notice how it actually performs the switch command, so that now we're pointing to branch 1 for the trunk. So let's click OK. So if I were to go in here, this is now our branches. So if I go in here and say changes from branch, save that, and I go into directory 1 and go into this file, and nope, it's just lagging a little bit. There we go. And we can just say changes from branch as well. Save that and close. If I go back to the main directory and I do a update, notice how we added our branch. Now I can do an SVN commit. And we're going to commit these two files. Just going to say updating. Actually, we can take that out. Go to our recent messages and updating files. Click OK. This is username 1. Our username is user1, and then password 1. Click OK. It's updated those files and sent the content. Now if we go ahead and do an update again, notice how we have now updated our branches, because again our trunk is currently pointing to the branches 1 folder. So now that we're done with our changes to our branch, what we want to do is we want to redirect where trunk is pointing to. If we right click on the folder, go to Tortoise SVN, you notice we have this switch option, and currently it's pointing to branches branch 1. We actually want it to point to the trunk. Let's click OK. Notice how it's now updated those two files, so now that it matches what's currently in the trunk. And now we're going to go ahead and perform our merge. So again, we're going to right click on the folder that we want to merge files to, which is our trunk. Go to Tortoise SVN, I'm going to hit this merge option. Now it gives you a few different types of merge, but what we're going to do is we're going to reintegrate a branch. So we're going to take a branch and reintegrate it into our main line of development. Click on Next. Notice it's going to ask you the from, and it shows the working copy. Now we're going to be taking our changes from, let's do branches / branch 1, and when we click Next, it's going to give us some more options. Right now we can just ignore these. We can hit test merge, click OK. Everything seemed to work fine, so what we can do, hit merge. It's merged all of our updates to the trunk, click OK. So now if we go into these files, we have changes from branch, and if we go in here, we have changes from branch. Everything's been merged properly. We can go ahead, right click, update, and then finally right click and commit. And updating files, everything looks good, click OK. It's going to ask for authentication one more time. Password 1, click OK. And that's it. If we refresh, eventually there we go, everything shows up as a green checkbox. So that's basically how we deal with merging and creating copies, branches, and tags with Tortoise SVN. Thanks.